Hello, gorgeous people, and welcome to another TV Central one-on-one podcast. I'm Aaron Ryan. The guilty pleasure that is Love Island Australia is back 31 October, first on 9 Now and then on 9 Go. Joining me now is ITV Studios Love Island Australia supervising executive producer, Alex Mavroidakis. Alex, thanks for joining me today.
How you going, Aaron? Good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah, well, look, we'll certainly get into Love Island in a moment, but let's talk about yourself first, because Love Island is certainly not your first rodeo. You've been a producer or executive producer for shows like Temptation Island, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, The X Factor, The Amazing Race, The Apprentice, and Big Brother, as well as factuals like Medical Emergency and The Force. I think your first main gig was Temptation Island, working for Fox. Not that dissimilar of a show to Love Island in some ways. How did that experience 20 years ago shape how you operate on Love Island?
Oh, God, you're going back now. That was my first. That was my first gig, not in England. So that was my first. So I got headhunted over here, if you want, for want of a better term. I was working for a live hospital show for the BBC in London, and I remember the call, and it was from a guy called Chris Blackburn, who I ended up being the executive producer of Big Brother, was it the old Big Brother with him, and he was the series producer of Temptation Island. And he phoned me up, and I remember standing in the car park of Guy's Hospital in London, and we used to our porta cabins were near where they used to incinerate all like the bits of dead skin and stuff. So you had this constant aroma of burning flesh in your nostrils. And the phone rang, and it was pissing down with rain, and we had the smell. And he said, "Do you want to come to Fiji and be a field producer on Temptation Island?" Kind of looked around and thought about it for all of 1 millisecond. I was like, "Yeah, yes, fucking please, mate." And I was like, there in 2 seconds. Look, that was a strange show, Temptation Island. Andrew Backwell was the EP. He's of course now a big hitter in television. And I remember we were all running around like mentalists around Fiji. There was food poisoning. There was a revolt from the girls who decided they weren't going to make any more television unless the producers played ball with them. It was a real eye-opener into the worlds of reality TV. Look, I'm going to say it's a completely different show to Love Island. But look, do you know what? It certainly opens your eyes to the cast. They're so desperate to get on the show, and they'll do anything they can to get on the show. As soon as you start filming, they realise the immense power they have, and they can exercise that power in any way, shape, or form. So that was a good it kind of got the training wheels spinning 20 odd years ago.
Well, another one you're an executive producer on was Big Brother for at least 3 seasons, I think. You were obviously on the show when it was done live. Have you watched the Channel 7 version of the show? Like, obviously it's pre-recorded and has a different feel to it. What do you make of the show now?
Look, I'm not going to lie and say I like it, because I don't. I'm not going to say it's not done badly. I have nothing but love for all the people that make it, and I understand the realities of having to change a format. We're certainly having to do that with Love Island now. I just Big Brother was such an iconic show back in the day, and the way it was done on a 24-hour turnaround, where it was all about the content in the house, and it was exciting every single day, because you'd be scraping to get something to air. To me, it's not the same show. The Big Brother live was a real event. There was an elimination every week, and I understand from what I hear on the grapevine. I don't know this for sure, but I understand they might be bringing back the live eliminations, which is exciting, and I hope they are. But the version that they've had the last couple of years is completely a different show, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the 7 upfronts are on in about 24 hours. We might end up finding out if it's Big Brother will be live for the eliminations next year. That'd be great. Look, let's get to Love Island. I know it might be difficult to speak sort of on behalf of Nine's programming team, but were you given any thoughts as to why Nine has decided to release episodes first on 9 Now? I think it's 6 p.m. each night, and then have a free-to-air broadcast on 9 Go at 8:30?
Well, yeah. Look, again, you're thanks for the disclaimer, because obviously I don't work in the Nine programming department, but I have to say it doesn't matter where Love Island exists. Do you know what I mean? Love Island is not a television show. Do you know what I mean? It never has been in the last 3-4 years that we've been making the show. Love Island is content, and it's content not just for Australia. It's it's content for the world, and it is consumed on phones and on iPads and on laptops and on television screens. And on trains in the morning, and 5 episodes at a time at the weekend. Do you know what I mean? It's consumed in so many different ways that you've got to kind of make it in a different way to any other TV show. And what we decided, it was an interesting moment. It was our series 1, and we're all in Spain, and it was being broadcast on Go. So this is going back to 2000, and I want to say 2018, I think it was our very first season in Spain. And we knew the show was brilliant, because we were over there and we had this really hot cast. The content was red hot. And we launched on Go. And, as you've said, I was used to making Big Brother and, getting 7, 8, 900,000, 1.2 million a night, And suddenly our ratings came through. And, I think it was 190,000 or something on Go, which, by the way, is a bloody good figure now, but we'll go back to 2018. And I remember all looking at each other going, oh my God, are we working on the biggest flop in history? And then 7 days later, you realize what an absolute, behemoth of a show it is. But you've got to be patient with Love Island, And what we decided there and then was, it doesn't matter where it goes. You could literally put it on the bloody Christian channel, on, 4:00 in the morning. It's going to find an audience wherever you put it, whether it's on Go, whether it's on 9 Now, whether it's on the main channel, whether it's somewhere else. It always seems to do, a very small number on linear television and then a enormous number on catch up. And so I presume Nine's thinking is, well, hey, let's just make it a purely a 9 Now play. It means we can kind of loosen up the content a little bit more as well, because it's not a main show. It means we can be edgier across the board as well, which obviously helps the format. But yeah, we're really excited to make it in this way. It's not going to be a big number of people that watch it on television. We know that. I'm pretty sure Channel 9, the 9 network will know that. But it will be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people that will be watching it on catch up after 7 days. Then it'll be more and more and more and more people after 28 days. Yeah, and then once it breaks Australia's borders and launches on, and this is obviously not a thing for 9, and God bless them for paying for the show, but from an ITV point of view, it's going to be on Hulu in the States. It's going to be on ITVB in the UK. It's going to be on in Asia. It's going to be on in South Africa. It's going to be on in Europe. It's a global phenomenon. And I always say in my rah-rah speech to the crew before the show launches, and look, I'm pretty sure this is correct, but it's a good line anyway. Unless you've worked on the World Cup or the Olympics or Eurovision or some kind of huge kind of global event, more people are going to watch this show that we're about to make than anything you've ever made in your life. Yeah. I've, as you said, I've EP'd Big Brother. I'm the EP of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is a huge show. Love Island is watched by probably 10 times more people, probably 20 times more people than watch those shows, because it's on all over the world. And it's huge.
If you, for people that work in the media industry and you're looking at the ratings and stuff, as you said, it is soft on linear, but it's just unbelievable when you look at the total TV figures. I mean, we're used to figures of about 20%, 30% uplift for shows like The Block or whatever, but then you see sort of 140% or something like that for Love Island. So they're certainly saying we're going to watch the show, but we'll watch it how and when we want to. And sometimes that's going to be on an iPad, in bed before they go to sleep, or it's going to be the next day at work or something. It's whatever you want to watch it. So it's very interesting ratings results.
Yeah, and we've just got to get used to that. I remember series 2, we were in Fiji, and I think the 28-day results were sent to us from Channel 9, and Love Island had, I think it was 23 of the top, 23 of the top 25 shows. It was I remember it was The Handmaid's Tale on SBS ruined it for us, because I think they had number 8, 9, and 10 or something. We wanted the complete clean sweep of the entire top 25.
Yeah, not much you can do about Handmaid's Tale. I saw the ratings of that last week. 414% uplift, I think it was. Well, it's huge. So let's talk about Love Island holistically. Some say that most of the contestants are looking for Instagram followers more than love. For me, it doesn't really matter. It's the fun and the behaviour of the Islanders that's the must watch. Is the audience supposed to be watching the show for the main purpose of people finding love? I mean, it is called Love Island, or is it something else?
The audience is supposed to be watching the show to be entertained.
Yeah.
Love Island is pure, unadulterated, unfiltered entertainment, and we make absolutely no apology for that, and we don't hide it in any way, shape, or form. We make. I'm gonna. I know we're talking about Love Island, but the other show I make is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, and I'm going to say this from a big picture point of view because I almost make both the shows in the same way, and it's kind of the way I like to make TV is with our tongues firmly in our cheeks. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not going and saying this is the biggest social experiment in the history of the world, like those shows, Love Island especially, they're being made to entertain you. Do you know what I mean? We want you to laugh. We want you to cry when it's sad. We want you to feel something. We want you to cheer the people you love. We want you to boo the people you hate. We want all of those things. We want to entertain you. But yes, we will take the piss out of the Islanders. But more than that, we will take the piss out of ourselves. It's all done from a place of love. And I say that exact line to every single Islander before they go in, when they're in lockdown, I give them the big kind of the pep talk, and they all love it. They know if they've come out finding love, then everyone's a winner. Fantastic. And of course, they all tell us in casting, yes, I'm here to find love. I'm here to find love. Nobody says I'm here for followers. Some of them are. Doesn't matter as long as they're going to entertain us. And if they come out and they found love, then fantastic, and good luck to everybody, and everyone's a winner. If they come out and they haven't found love, but they've somehow got 400,000 followers and they're going to go and make money holding up smoothies, then also good on them. What I want to do is to deliver the audience a thoroughly entertaining hour of their lives, I can't wait to click on the next episode. And that is, I think, what we've achieved for the last 3 seasons. And I'm bloody confident we're about to achieve again in this 4th season.
There is an element, though, of like the love aspect of it. I think last season probably was the biggest one for me in terms of like a true love thing, like with Mitch and Tina. They actually did seem to be like a down-to-earth, nice couple. But I mean, if you look back at the seasons of Love Island, I don't think anyone's actually stayed together. Even Mitch and Tina have actually broken up now. So, I mean, there is a love element of the show that people are rooting for as well, aren't they? Not just the pure entertainment.
I would love to create a couple that go away and get married and have babies. I'm not saying that I wouldn't want that to happen, and everybody is always cheering on love because love wins after all. Love Island contestants. Look, here's the truth of it all. Love Island contestants are younger than any other show. Full stop. Right? We're talking about people that are, between the ages of 19 and 26 generally as a general rule. So of course there's going to be less long-term success stories than perhaps other, I'm going to use the word love in inverted commas, franchises. We had Josh and Amelia who were together until very recently. I was very upset to see them split up. They were one of our season 1 couples. Spoiler alert, because obviously this season we've just made was pre-recorded. I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a minute because that was completely different to how we've normally made the show. I can tell you that there is a lot of love in the air this time, and as far as I know, the couples that are there right at the end, and I mean right at the end, are together today, and I have high hopes we'll be together for a long time. We want Love Island babies. Bring them on.
Look, I ask about the true love stuff because some of the games and challenges are designed to, I guess, split up couples and or partner swap. If a couple do have a real connection and they seem to have found some kind of love in the villa, why is it like necessary to try and uncouple them? Is it to test the strength of the relationship or just to create that more entertainment?
Oh, look, we never try and split anyone up. I think that's incorrect. Again, absolutely test. Love Island is a test. I don't think we've ever done anything really nastily manipulative to try and split up true love. The nature of the show and the nature of what we are doing is we will bring in bombs who are incredibly hot human beings whose jobs are to test the water and go on dates with people who may already be in relationships, and pick people at coupling up. That is absolutely, that's a format point, and will always happen. If someone's in love with someone else, they'll find their way back to them eventually. There's a whole load of things like in this most recent series that you're about to see. We do something called Spy Date, which is where the girls get to watch a live feed of the boys dating two new girls, but the boys don't know they're watching, for example. Do you know what I mean? Now, to me, that is thoroughly entertaining. And if you are a good boy and genuinely in love, you're going to pass that test and everything's going to be fine, I'd hand on my heart say we've never sat in an office and plotted how to break up someone's relationship. What we absolutely have done is plotted how to make great TV. But people who love each other and are into each other will always find their way back to each other.
Yeah. Before we get into like this specifically this season, just one last question. My favorite season was season 1, but I could say that for many reality shows, there is something special about watching a show when people don't know the format. It's almost like it's an experiment. After that, people that go on the shows have some kind of basis of what the show is, based on previous seasons. So how do you keep the show fresh?
Well, it's casting, number one. I mean, the great thing about reality shows of this nature is, it's a fresh cast every time. And honestly, it really doesn't matter what challenges we do, how we dress the villa, how we spruik the opening titles, how many commercial tracks we put in. None of that stuff matters if the cast is under par. If you have got sensational Islanders, then people will love the series. And I know that's a really boring television show producer answer, but it really is the truth. We have got a spectacular cast this time, and I would like to think that you're going to enjoy it as much as Series 1. I loved Series 1 too. It did feel new. It felt special. It's great that it was in Spain. Of course, we then attempted to make the show in Fiji. I'm not going to lie and say that was a roaring success, because it just wasn't. And then, of course, the pandemic meant that we had to shoot in Australia for season 3. We're back in Spain this year. Season 1 was special, but I think it was because a lot to do with Spain, as well as the fact that it was a new show. And I think being back in Spain this year is going to excite a lot of people. It's certainly made a good series.
I've seen the couples for the new season and read their profiles. Who are the ones that you think are going to cause a bit of mischief or that huge entertainment? Now, I'm only guessing, and this is just from profiles, that Jessica and Jordan might be the standouts. Who are your picks for the sort of the outspoken, big entertainment ones?
Well, look, you've done well there. Just looking at them, Jordan's mullet certainly gets involved in a bit, and Jessica is one of those human beings who either loves you or absolutely, or hates you. There's really no middle ground. Do you know what I mean? She's either kissing your face and telling you you're the nicest person in the world, or chasing you around the house with a rolling pin. So you'll see a bit of that. Oh God, there's so many big characters, and it's hard for me to say, because it was a pre-recorded series. The more I say, the more you'll be like, oh, that means that they last a long time. So I'm just gonna, do you know what I mean? It's a really hard thing to do, because I don't want to spoil the show. I'm just gonna say that there are a few people without nothing against Aussies, because I love them, but we've got a Welshman called Callum, a Kiwi called Mitchell, a British girl called Holly, and then none of them have got Australian accents, and all of them are enormous characters. So beware the accents. Beware the accents. Keep an eye on them.
We have to get used to the accent anyway with the voiceover guy. So
I know. He's good, isn't he?
Absolutely. And then on the other hand, who might be in there really looking for true love? I know that some of them are, some of them aren't. But from profile reading, I was thinking Austin and Stella, because profiles were a little bit more toned down. That may be correct, or I'm not on the right path.
No, you're definitely on the right path. I think there's probably 5 or 6 of them. I'm going to throw Phoebe into that mix as well. Stella, certainly. Tack, I think, was in there for the right reasons, despite, kind of the bad boy profile that you may have read at this point. But again, I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but the more I say about a pre-recorded series, specifically about the Islanders, it kind of gives away who's there at the end. But I'm going to say that there's a few of them that were genuinely in there to find a partner, and some of them do. Spoiler alert. So it's good.
So what can we expect on the show this year? Is there any format changes at all?
Yeah, so we really mixed up episode 1. Love Island is obviously a fantastic show when it's up and running, and there's so much drama and it moves so fast, but you've got to get past that very first format point of the girls walk in the villa and they all squeal and they open a bottle of champagne, and then Sophie walks in, and then one boy at a time comes in and picks a girl, and then you end up with 5 couples, and it takes 3.5 segments of the launch episode, and it's happened in the UK Love Island and German Love Island and American Love Island and Australian Love Island. Every single Love Island's the same. So we decided this year not to do it that way. And I'm bloody delighted that we didn't, because it feels really fresh and really different and a bit less kind of meat markety. And you'll see that when you watch episode 1 on the 31st, hopefully on the 31st, or whenever it is people watch it, because it doesn't matter when they do. But we certainly needed to revamp episode 1. You may have heard rumours of a few guests coming to play with us, a few people with existing profile. I can confirm there is a bit of that going on. I alluded to Spy Date before, which is a new thing that we did, where they get to watch live feeds of them dating each other. So that was new and different. So we did we played with the format this year, and we've stunted it up somewhat, but not out of desperation. Out of kind of, the more you play with the Islanders, the better the content. The better the content will be, and it's worked. I'm delighted to say we're halfway through screening the series at the moment, because it's being cut as we speak. We're still cutting it on a 24-hour turnaround. Yeah. So we're still cutting it one day to make one episode, so it still feels exactly the same as a normal series. I think I just screened episode 6 this morning, and can't wipe the smile off my face. Absolutely loving it. Can't wait for tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock when I get to watch episode 7.
Yeah. So how important is Sophie Monk to the show? For me, she really brings the show back down to earth, because when the show sometimes gets so, I guess, outlandish, Sophie has a way of showing, I guess, like real empathy and connection with the Islanders. She's perfect for the role. How do you rate Sophie, or just having a host in general, in terms of the importance of the show?
I mean, essential. I mean, Sophie is so well liked. And she's got the perfect kind of nudge, wink, winkness, that Aussies love. And I feel like she asks the questions that people are screaming at the TVs from their couches. And she's empathetic when she needs to be. And she puts her arms around them when she needs to. And she looks at the camera and gives the kind of, what the fuck are they talking about, look when she needs to. Do you know what I mean? She's the mouthpiece to the audience. And she just plays the role beautifully. I almost wouldn't want to do the show without her. We have this amazing relationship, Sophie and I. I'm obviously in her ear for, when she's in the villa, to help her through, who she's talking to next, etc. And she's always, whispering asides to me, in between kind of what's going on, and saying rude things to me, and we're kind of bantering each other. No, we're two. I live on the Gold Coast. We're two kind of Gold Coast bogans that have been left to kind of run this global franchise. But no, we get on great, and I love Soph. And you're right, she just brings it all together. I think the audience just love her, and she's really. My family in the UK. I mean, I've been in Australia for 21 years now, and I am Australian, but I still have family in the UK. And when they've watched it, they're like, who's the host? She's so, we love her so much, so the Brits are right into her as well.
She's absolutely awesome. I want to talk about the behavior on the show. Now, it's very hard to put this question. It kind of feels like a double-edged sword. Some of it can be quite appalling from some of the contestants, but on the other hand, it's that drama that makes the show what it is and makes it fun. So some would, like, for example, someone's having a genuine connection with someone and saying all these romantic things, and then the next moment they're in the bedroom tonguing someone else, and then lying about it. I mean, some of it is like would seem to be quite appalling. I mean, these people on national television, do they not care how they're perceived, or do you think they know what they're doing and it's creating drama for them to be popular? Or do you think, you know, being in a house, you've got all these beautiful people, things just happen and they're just overwhelmed by the whole situation? I don't know what question I've got in there, but
I,
it's like,
I, I think it's a combination of everything you've just said. It's like, it's a smorgasbord of hotness,
yeah,
and putting in people at the height of when their hormones are at the most high. They never look better than no one is ever going to look better in their entire life than when they walk into Love Island Villa. They were cast 3 months ago. They've been in the gym every single day. They've been, beautifying every single day. They come in absolute 100%, form, looking amazing. And they're in this hot country, a million miles away from home. Knowing, I guess, some of them knowing that they're on camera and they want to be on the show as much as possible. Some of them just being completely overtaken by the moment and the kind of the romance of of the situation. And so I think everything you've just said it plays a part of it. I mean, how many times on the show we've seen somebody, kissing somebody on, the love seat, and then what it appears to be in the next, in the next episode, 5 minutes later, they're kissing somebody, down on the fire pit. Of course, in that could be 3 hours later or 4 hours later, but this time is accelerated so much in Love Island. For 24 hours a day, you're living in a villa with somebody else with, no, obviously they have phones, but it's not like they have the internet on those phones and they're all surfing, they're all looking at their Instagram all day, there's very, very few distractions. So I think we said, the equivalent of being coupled up with someone for 3 days in the Love Island villa would have to be the equivalent of going out with somebody for 3 weeks in the real world, because every time you have a meal together, it's a date. Every time you go and sit together, you're having probably a more full-on conversation than certainly you would in the real world, because you're not sitting there with your phone and the distractions, or driving a car or doing whatever it is that you do in the real world. You're just there looking into each other's eyes, having an actual conversation. And so that's why I think people move on so quickly. And you'll see it again in this series, that people have decided that they found someone special, and then they'll wake up the next morning and go, I'm not feeling it anymore, I want to move on to somebody else. And you watch it at home and you go, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you've only known them for a day, but you've got to understand a day in the villa is, it'd have to be the equivalent of a week in the real world, probably more. I'm thinking back to when I was 23 and would go out with girls, and we'd go to the cinema and you'd sit in a dark room for 2.5 hours and watch a movie, maybe have a kiss at the end of it. And then you might go the following week, you might go for a meal. And then, the following week you might go, I don't know, to a pub or something.
yeah.
You've seen them for 3 times in 3 weeks. In the Love Island villa, that's breakfast, lunch and dinner. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely accelerated. I want to ask you about casting, the main ingredient of the show, of course. You obviously must get hundreds or thousands of hot-looking people wanting to be on Love Island. What separates someone from another person that actually then makes it into the show?
Look, it's that incredible X factor, and you're right, it is thousands. And so there's no substitute for seeing people face to face. So I'm going to say that obviously they said the way it works on Love Island is everybody applies via the Love Island, via the portal landing page, whatever it's called. We get thousands of videos up there, thousands of applications. We then have a cast team that contact, the ones that don't upload videos and say, hey, love your pictures, love what you've written, send us a video. We then go through all of those videos. And look, it's the talk test. You could be the hottest human in the world. Okay, let's use we've had this person, obviously without naming names. We had a guy apply this year, and he was 26 years old, and he looked like he'd been chiseled by the gods. He was flawless, absolutely flawless, looked incredible. We saw these pictures, we were like, oh my God, this is the man. Asked him for a video. Poor bloke couldn't string 2 words together. Like, and I mean, could not string two words together. We didn't even bother seeing him on the casting tour. So the way the process worked is we'll pick 200 people ish to go around the country and see Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, Brisbane, Perth, and if they're from regional centres, we'll fly them in. And from those 200, we'll pick 50, and then we'll all sit around and we'll argue about which ones should be the Islanders. It's not dissimilar to any television show cast. But yeah, it's of course a lot of it is to do with looks. You've got to be really hot to be on Love Island, but we want them all to look very different. You can't just go, oh my god, here's 20 amazing hot blondes. Put them all in. It needs to be a diverse cast. We have a very, very diverse cast this time, probably the most diverse we've ever had. So you've got to factor that. You've got to factor in diversity. You've got to factor in personality type. But one thing they all must pass is the talk test. You imagine them in the beach hut, looking down the barrel of the camera, saying, "Oh, I can't believe I just kissed a blah 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 blah," and you're ranting and raving about someone stealing a man, or about a challenge they just did. And if you can't see them being hilarious or informative or whatever in the beach hut, then there's no point going any further, because they've got to pass the talk test. So yes, it matters. Obviously, you've got to be hot, you've got to be able to talk, and you've got to have something more than people who are just hot and can talk, which I can't, you've almost not put into words.
All right, second last question before you go. I know that sometimes perception and actual reality are two different things. So I want to ask you about your job. Now, the perception is that you probably have the best job in the world. You're touring the country, speaking to 200 or whatever hot people for casting. You're going to Spain. You're hanging out with Sophie Monk. You've got a beautiful villa of beautiful people. I mean, you obviously must work very hard. It's a production, that thing. But do you have the best job in the world?
Look, I would say it would have to be right up there. I'm not going to lie. I have some really, really some days where I was like, God, I would love to do something else. But you're right. On big picture wise, I do get to go around the world, and I do get to hang out with Sophie Monk, and I do get to interview hot people. And as I said, the other show I do is I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. So for the other half of the year, I'm in South Africa, and I'm working out which celebrities to take to the jungle, and I'm hanging out with Chris Brown and Julia Morris. So it's two halves of the year. But, I've got kids, I've got a partner, I've got a house, I've got a life. It is bloody difficult to run your personal life and your professional life when you're on two such busy shows. So I'd love to be, at home more than I am. But it is very, very difficult. But having said all that, I do love my shows. I mean, I honestly believe I work on the best two shows in Australia, and that is an incredibly biased way of looking at it. But I love Love Island, and I love I'm a Celebrity. I love how honest they are. I love that they're fast turnaround shows, and there's no bullshit, and we don't have the time or the inclination to create characters in the edit. We don't put words in people's mouths like a lot of the other shows do, and I say that with the greatest of respect, because we simply don't have time to. Yeah. So I feel like they are the most honest reality shows. And they both take the piss, and they're both funny, and I really feel incredibly confident about this series of Love Island, and it's the funniest and most dramatic yet. So I'm really excited to see what the audience think.
Absolutely. If you need a personal assistant, you just give me a call. What a great job you do. But last question is, I want to ask about the guilty pleasure nature of the show. When I was with another podcast, they used to make fun of me all the time because I watched the show. Many that watch the show don't admit to watching the show. Why do so many people watch the show, but only half of them admit to watching it?
Great question. Well, look, great question. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And I've always hated, even I'm going right back to my Big Brother days when I was EP of Big Brother, and Big Brother, how huge it was back in the day. And I used to go to, I don't say dinner parties, not dinner parties, but you meet people around there. So what do? I start make Big Brother. I'm like, oh my God, that shit. It's like, well, don't you watch it? And I'm like, oh, I've seen it a few times, and no, I don't know. I just don't get it. And people do that about Love Island. So not so much now about Love Island, but honestly, people that just look down their noses at reality TV. What are we trying to do? What harm are we causing? It's like we're building nuclear bombs or something. Do you know what I mean? All we're trying to do is to entertain people, and we're doing it in a fun and completely open and honest way. So I don't quite understand that point of view. However, there's something in that with the guilty pleasure. So I just think that a lot of human beings want other people to think that they sit around watching Attenborough documentaries all day long, you know? And I don't get it, you know, because when people say, "What did you watch last night?" I go, "Oh, I watched, you know, Fuckboy Island, or, you know, Love Island, or X on the Beach," and I'm completely fine with saying that I watch that stuff. But for whatever reason, I mean, I'm sure, you know, the producers of Maths will tell you the same thing. I mean, Christ, look at their ratings, you know. Bloody everybody watches it, but if you talk to the man on the street, nobody watches it.
Exactly.
Everyone's a liar. I would say that most Australians have seen Love Island at some point in their life. You know, I'm not sure how many. If you got a clipboard and stood in the middle of the busiest mall in Australia and stopped people individually and said, "Excuse me, sir, have you ever seen Love Island?" I reckon 97% of people will tell you no. And I'm going to say that 98% of those people are liars. The answer is I don't understand why people lie about it. But certainly it is a guilty pleasure. But as long as people are getting pleasure from it, I couldn't give a shit whether they're lying about it or not, to be honest.
I definitely don't mind admitting I'll watch it. So it's a great show. Looking forward to it. Episodes will drop first on 9 Now, and then the episode could be watched on broadcast 8:30 on Monday the 31st of October, and then we'll stream Monday to Thursday on 9Go. Alex, thanks for joining me at TV Central.
Thanks, Aaron. Cheers.
That was Alex Mavroidakis, supervising executive producer for Love Island Australia. That's it for this one-on-one podcast. For news, reviews, podcasts, and ratings, head to tvcentral.com.au. Until next time, I'm Aaron Ryan. Bye for now.